Pakistan didn't lose any wickets at all. We then lost 4 wickets for just 20 runs in just 26 deliveries. So that was something that really put them on the back foot. So that was far from ideal from Pakistan's point of view. We've got a nice crowd in as well. And here come the batsmen for Pakistan. A couple of guys who need to continue after the break. There were 1 or 2 moments which were a bit hairy for them. Here's a look at the wickets that went down. This was Corman Bosch, his very first delivery. Shan Masood will be disappointed. Ayub got a good delivery from Patterson. Is the only one that wasn't a soft dismissal. That was Bob Razam. Well caught. Second slip by Aiden Markram. Patterson again. And Corman Bosch got one down the leg side. That was such a kill with just a little bit of assistance off that glove. So 3 soft dismissals. 1 genuine dismissal, and that's the guy who batted so well so far on this tour. And that'll be disappointing for Pakistan that he's gone. But now it's the skipper of the white ball game, who's on 10 not outs, and the partnership 32. Sean Pollack, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Hazy, we see KG Rabad has been reintroduced for South Africa, and you just get the feeling that there's no way that he can go another spell and not pick up a wicket the way he bowled in those initial 7 overs this morning. He was on point with regards to length. He beat the outside edge on countless occasions. And I think Pakistan will have their work cut out for them here after the lunch break. They came out and played positively this partnership, 32 of 33. So it'll be interesting to see the approach after the lunch.
Rabada again. Allows that one to go through. I guess that's going to be the name of the game initially from these guys at the top, just to make sure that they can get into this second session.
Will it? I don't know. I'm not so sure, Hazy. The way they played
get
before,
into this second session.
Might look to carve it away.
I don't know. I'm not so sure, Hazy. The way they played get into this second session. Might look to carve it away. I don't know. I'm not so sure, Hazy. The way they played get into this second session. Might look to carve it away. I don't know. I'm not so sure, Hazy. The way they played get into this second session. Might look to carve it away. I don't know. With Janssen, the wider of and the taller of the slips cordon.
How were you after lunch, Polly, when you had to come out and bowl? I know we've had this conversation before. You didn't really like to eat, but the meals that we've had at Supersport Park on day 1 already, rather tasty.
Extra bounce, wrap on that finger. Keepers always have issues with fingers. Help his cause at all, I'm sure. Keepers always have issues with fingers.
For sure.
Help his cause at all, I'm sure.
Little marks that have been created. That one hits properly on the glove, and it's the release of the bat just to try and stem the flow of pain that goes up through the body.
I can just hear him actually through the stump microphone at the moment. He's groaning a bit out there, so he's not particularly happy about this one. Just a couple of noises from him, letting us know that it's not a comfortable feeling.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on the Pakistan physio, Cliffy Deacon. He's one of the harder men in cricket, old school. He just stood up ever so quietly and just watched. I'm sure Rizwan would call him if he was in a bit of strife, but yeah, that's a beauty. Those are the ones that always hurt. Squeezes down on the bat handle. Those are never fun.
A little inside neck on that occasion. You'll find that wicketkeepers go into games these days, particularly test matches, they've always got damaged fingers. So when they're out there batting, they do happen to get one also. It just gives them a smack on that, on the flesh, and liven something up in that finger that they've been looking after for the last week. It's far from ideal for them. Healthy Nick. Drifting in a little bit that time, but a nice controlled drive this time by Rizwan. Good solid stuff after the break with that shot. Tag teamwork. 3 the result.
Yeah, that was a nasty punch, just slightly over pitched, but not full enough to allow a full flow of the bat. Just had to kind of wait for it to get to him. Just held it, or maybe he couldn't squeeze that bottom hand as hard as he'd want to after the contact with 2 balls before. Yeah, Hazy, with wicketkeepers, if you ever shake their hands at the back end of their career or 2 or 10 years after they've retired, you get a good feeling for what they go through.
Oh, that's a beauty. That's gone away from a fairly full length as well. End of the first over after the break. 91 for 4.
You get the
जल्दी करो प्लीज, मूवी शुरू होने वाली है. लेट्स गो.
ये क्यूआर कोड ठीक से चलेगा?
सब टिक है.
आप बताओगे कि मैं बताऊं?
सब टिक चलेगा सर. टिक मतलब
गूगल पे है.
सब टिक है.
deliveries just to get going.
Janssen. He'll be hoping on Janssen that his radar is going to be. And he was all over the show. Came back just for the one before the interval. Started with a couple down the leg side and then seemed to be on track a little bit. So you want to start well and start building from that.
Yeah, and he felt with Marco Jansen was a little bit too lengths from him. The other bowlers have settled in quite nicely on the top of the stump's length. He's just been a little bit inconsistent in terms of those lengths. So he's one of those bowlers, if he can find that right length, with it getting it to stand up with his height, became an absolute handful. So this will be an important spell for him after lunch now.
Because of the carry you can get, that slip cordon's quite deep. It's not bowling with any great pace at the moment. He'll ease into that a little bit. He'll build from a base.
The Sean Pollock theory. Maybe the grab was so good here. It's taking a little bit of time to get going, get the diesel engine working. It's a long way down to get all that food processed.
The crowd is building up even more after lunch. First day, the forecast is good for the day from a rain point of view. Oh, that's a beauty. Big shout from Verena, which is probably not going to surprise many people that he's up and shouting.
Yeah, cuts him in half for Rizwan. This is the danger of Marco Jansen. It can seem like he's been a bit docile or not really hitting the deck, but with that bounce and ability just to get the odd one to stand up and climb, he can cause troubles for anyone on any surface around the world. That one nips back sharply. I think it's bat making contact with the pad that maybe makes the noise as it goes past.
And that one held his line. Top stuff this from Marco Jansen.
Yeah, much better for Marco Jansen. Getting the ball to talk. Lines have been consistent. The lengths have been even better. As you mentioned, he can get one to rise off a length. That one just squatting ever so slightly going across Rizwan. But when you have got a bowler that can get the ball to stand up like this, it's so difficult to get settled and find a rhythm as a batter. Asking the right questions is Marco Jansen.
Releases from well over 2 meters as well. And that's bang on target. So that's a very well constructed over for Marco Jansen. 91 for 4.
Looks like there was a little bit of negotiation with Dad as who's going to be batting first there, and the boy with the 10 on his back, he won the choice.
Oh, that's not that far away from that off stump, as Rabada has realised.
Yeah, this is disconcerting. You don't really want to be seeing this on day one of the test match. You've seen a couple of deliveries bounce steeply and really cause a lot of problems, even in the last over, wrapping the gloves, and then that's a similar length. It's left because they're judging it on the deliveries from the last over, and that one stays down.
Slightly overpitched.
Yeah, Gunnams missed out on that one. That is one that he could have put away. There hasn't been many overpitched and been freebies. Smile on his face. Maybe that's the comments that he's passing down to his captain to say, well, sorry, should I say his one-day international captain, to say, well, I've missed out on that one.
Oh, that's a nice punch. That's nicely controlled. Went in front of square. It's a satisfying shot. Really good work, that one.
Yeah, it's a shot that you have to play well up in the high foul. And he'll get opportunities with the extra bounce, but he's ridden it well. And rocking back beautifully with a high elbow and just punching it through that offside for a boundary.
What's also so good about this one is if you just think of the last 5 or 6 deliveries that have been received from that end, one stood steeply, one stayed low. So to still trust the bounce and be able to hit it at the top of it is exceptional.
Now that one has gone sideways some distance. That has seemed a lot. They're going to have just a little bit of a discussion about that. I wonder if there's an indentation that has just hit. The track was not particularly hard this morning. There's bound to be a couple of indentations out there already, I would imagine. I think we've seen evidence of that with one ball that stood up a little bit earlier. That one has gone quite a distance sideways. Looking for the big drive, not there.
Yeah, definitely not there. I was just about to say that it's not the kind of shot you want to be playing on this pitch. You've got to be patient enough. You can look to be positive 100%, but you've got to be patient enough to know which ones you can go after. That one was also moved prodigiously.
That's going a lot. Tried to pull out of that one in the last minutes. 95 for 4. A bit of paddle going on. At the back there's a couple of courts. Looks like nicely organised just next to the car parks there. When we arrive in the mornings there's always some action.
Yeah, some paddling and not on the Head-Ups River.
Hasn't got that right out of the middle, but Bavuma's got a hand on that to save what would have been a boundary, I presume.
What was that, Hazy, that Temba just did there?
A ball of a kissy.
I knew you couldn't resist. He's actually done well because Rizwan, as he made contact, he thought that was going to go away, and this outfield's quick enough to have taken it to the fence. So it's a good little parry. And we can see another example how the ball is not coming out of Marco Janssen's hand in the fashion that he would have liked to. Don't know if he got a warning for running down the wicket, or might have been a few comments with Marco Janssen. He's never short of wanting to get involved in a bit of a verbal contact, old Rizwan.
Yeah, he and Heinrich Klaassen had a few words in the one-day game in Paarl.
That one actually came out of his hand okay compared to some of the others we've seen from Marco Jansen. And it's funny, it's just something that happens in a bowler's career, is you have odd games where the rhythm just doesn't feel right and the release doesn't feel like you want it.
Around the wicket now, short. He likes playing that shot. Rizwan, there are 2 men back, but he gently controls it.
Yeah, don't mind this play around the wicket from Marco Jansen. Just changing the angle. If you can get that wrist right that you talk about, he can get the ball to straighten from around the wicket. Awkward angle when it comes into from that height. So well Rabada did coming around the wicket to the left-handers.
Yeah, I don't mind it for a bit, but I think the over he bowled previously, the previous over, was such a good one from over that I thought he'd found his straps there. That's clubbed. That's a really good solid shot from Ghulam.
Straight away Jansen turns around and looks back at the crease, and as he walks back he gives it a kick, but this is just a bit of a freebie. It's banged in, there's nothing really behind it. It's just short, it's just wide, and it's just asking to be put away. And come on, Ghulam is looking for anything he can latch onto. He's got 31 of 30 deliveries, so he's looking to be positive, and this is the case. Brings up the 100 as well for Pakistan.
Well, that was a bit of an exaggeration from Ghulam. That loud call and the point to his partner.
Yeah, he looks like quite a character. Come on, Ghulam. Besides I'm not too sure how we describe that. It's almost like a fencer trying to shoot his, I don't know, what do you call the fencing sword?
Oh, he's played that nicely too. Another very good shot. Second fine drive off the back foot in the over. 106 for 4.
Yeah, with that boundary, 50 partnership coming up for these two. That's a shot of authority from Ghulam. Standing up tall again. Just absolutely smothering that one through the covers. It's a good shot to finish the over for Pakistan.
Yeah, going back to your pitch point, Hazy, as we look at the 50 partnership, the contributions. Cameron Gullam's been impressive, 34 of those runs to be accumulated. There's been no bright sunshine, is there, to bake the surface. And often you'll see that it kind of just get rid of the moisture and just flatten things out, but it's been overcast the whole day, and as you talked about the preparation in your pitch report about the being under covers in the tent, and hasn't been as exposed to as much sunshine as they would have liked, the ground staff, so you may see a bit more movement as the game goes on continuously, so it could be a bit of a difficult one for the batters.
Yeah, for those that missed it earlier, 9 days of preparation, and the tent was used for about 60% of that time as it rained. Flaps are up on the side when it wasn't raining, so there could be a bit of a breeze coming through. They were always worried with the overcast conditions and the rain around the place that was never far away. So yeah, a bit of moisture in it. That's why there's a bit of greenery. That crust, which is no more than about an inch, that's all it is, just over an inch. The crust of the top upper layer of the pitch is fairly hard, but there will be some burn marks, I presume. That's what I'm expecting, because it's such a good carpet of grass with the new ball. We've just been hitting that surface and just burning through that top bit of grass and providing some indentations, rather than perhaps going into the actual clay itself, that seemed to be reasonably hard, although it's always a little bit on the softer side here at Supersport Park on day one.
And what we would have noticed with this wicket and the batter so far, they've given themselves a chance to get in and play good cricket shots. There's opportunities to score, but and probably you'll agree with me, it's one of those wickets that you don't always feel in. You'll be feeling good, you'll be moving good, leaving the ball well, playing a few shots, getting a few boundaries, but you always think there's a ball with your name on it. It's one of those types of wickets you feel.
Yeah, when Murray says feel like you're never in, you think you could get one that could just knock you over. That's nicely caressed through the covers as well. A little bit of shape, so Rabada wouldn't have been unhappy at the shot being produced. He'd been thinking slip cordon if it just moves a little bit more, but Rizwan moved his wrists and almost adjusted the bat angle to the shape of the delivery.
And that's what I mean. Slips were applauding KJ Rabada after the shot got played, because there's a risk involved with the slips waiting to take the catch. But again, if you get 5 more deliveries like that, there's always a potential of nicking one from the nature of this pitch.
I'm a bit surprised now. One shot through the covers, and they've now put protection back. The point has now been put onto the fence. And I don't think I'd mind them pushing hard at deliveries when we've seen some of the trampoline bounce so far. 110 for 4.
India and South Africa in the 90s there, always a super hit affair. Every single fast bowler in my colony wanted some of this. And if you manage to pull off a stunning catch, catch pakada re Jonty, all of India showered their love on these guys.
True story.
But as true fans, we want to watch cricket's future heroes before everyone else. So I'm off to South Africa to see tomorrow's T20 stars in the making. A fiery new season of the SA20 begins Jan 9th.
And a choice of bowlers. South African fans will be hoping I'm proved wrong, but for me, what I would have done here is I would have taken Jansen out of the attack and gone back to Dane Patterson, and I would have kept Jansen to change ends, because he just hasn't found his rhythm today. So the South African fans, as I say, will be hoping that he still picks up a wicket this over, but for me, he hasn't looked comfortable, hasn't hit his straps as well as he could, and maybe just a change of end will do the trick for him.
And now there's a man on the fence on the offside. Just want to have a look at what happens in the test matches here over the last couple of years. This is the story of this pitch. First of all, we're going to look at Rabada, his release heights. The South African bowlers are tall and they're quick. Rabada, the last 2 tests, Supersport Park, 2.1 metre release height, and bowls at a good length and the variable bounce. This is on fact from Hawkeye, the variable bounce he's had in the last 2 test matches. So that's Rabada. We'll come back and have a look at Jansen after this as well. Just coming back a fraction that time. So there's Rabada. So that's because of the indentations in the pitch and the variable bounce. So there's Rabada. What about Jansen? Surprisingly, he's only a little bit taller than Rabada because he's got that collapsed front knee, but it's still a very high release point. And this is the variable bounce that he's had over the last couple of tests at Supersport Park. So he gets variable bounce as well. This is days 3 and day 4 and 5 that goes that far. Happened in day 3 actually against India. Day 4 it was against the West Indies in 2024. Cries of catch it. And that's going to scoot away for a boundary. Man on the offside fence couldn't get close.
Yeah, if only it was Kirby Bosch, he actually headed off in the opposite direction. It's sometimes a difficult ground to pick up. You think about the bank and all the people sitting on the bank, but it's width, it's a scrambled seam, and come on, Gulam deciding to go hard after it. You can see Bosch is heading in the opposite direction and has to turn around. He wouldn't have got to it.
3 men on the fence. There's 2 men back on the hook, and there's a man on the fence on the offside. Not sure about these field placings. There's extra bounce. So we've looked at Rabada, we've looked at Jansen. Rabada's about 6'4", Jansen's about 6'8", 6'9", and Naseem Shah's 5'10". He only releases at 1.9. So this is the variable. This is taken from the one day at the Wanderers. So this is fact again from him at the Wanderers, and we're going to see if he gets any variable bounce. It's consistent with the Wanderers because there weren't the indentations. So will he be able to get some variable bounce at this surface? He is by far the most senior and the best bowler in their lineup, but the other blokes are tall and quick, and they do hit that deck hard, and they change their length to a hard length and get that variable bounce. And then also something that was spotted by Hashim Amla at the pitch report today, he just saw a little bit of a crack that was just outside the line of off stump bowling from the Henots River end, which might come into play if there's not too much wet weather around the place. But he is a class act, and will he get the variable bounce? I presume he will, but the other guys will be presumably more effective because of their height. Leading edge that time. 115 for 4. .59 now, this partnership. It's been good from Ghulam and also Rizwan. 4 wickets going down in 26 balls in the last hour of session number 1. Rabada again. Again, that's gone nicely. And some distance, hence the smile on Ghulam's face.
Yeah, and you have to feel for KJ Rabada. He's been absolutely superb this morning. He's beaten the bat a number of times, and look at that movement right off the wicket. So used to seeing KJ swing the ball away, but when the ball's nipping like this, it's almost impossible for a batter. And you have to feel that luck has to change at some stage for Rabada.
Just a little bit of movement next to the side screen that Cameron Ghulam didn't appreciate. And those are the people walking up. It's a massive side screen, so it's obviously a nice side screen to have, but the people walking up can just be the movement that kind of puts you off a little bit. So ideally people need to stand still while the delivery's underway.
Now that's a shot you won't find in the MCC coaching manual.
Well, it's definitely a word said by KJ Rabada after the batter pulled out with people at the side screen. And I don't know what makes me think that he was expecting the short one.
Yeah, he was in position early, and then it's like, I'm not going to play at it, and I'm just going to leave my bat there. Cameron Ghulam maybe saying, you see how talented I am? Even when I'm not trying to hit the ball, I can hit the ball. KG probably saying, what was that? They do look like a batting partnership that has a lot of fun out there. I think there's similar personalities, and they almost commentate a little bit with each other and their feedback. I think they're losing the plot out there. I think Carl Verreynne kind of went up to say there's someone about 5 rows up on top of the grandstand who's moving. You sure you don't want him to stop as well? And Cameron Ghulam didn't see the funny side to it. And there's a bit of verbals.
KG, stay in his mind, yeah? Living rent-free in the circle mind.
Yeah, Markham just mentioning that South Africans are living rent-free in his mind at the moment. It looks like he is the type of character to get involved and doesn't back down from a challenge, which you love from a test cricketer.
Depends what personality you are. If there's a bit of chitter-chatter from behind the stumps and you get involved, it can kind of throw you a little bit from a concentration perspective. But he does seem like a guy who doesn't mind a bit of a challenge, and that will continue to be focused even though there's a bit of verbals on the go.
Soft hands, a little bit of extra bounce.
Yeah, looks like one of those nuggety players that would definitely get under the skin of most bowlers. I'll tell you what, I'm sitting up in the commentary box here and I'm starting to get a little bit fidgety. It's one of those batters that you feel like you can get him out at any time, but he's just sticking out. If you had many of those in your life, Polly, I suppose every batter was a...
He's definitely drawn them into verbals. He's drawn them into a different mindset, and they clearly are getting a little bit frustrated. And there's another reason to be frustrated. A great away swinger from Rabada, played and missed, 118 for 4.
So that was action-packed. A couple of words around the place. Rizwan certainly one who doesn't mind getting involved. But Cameron Ghulam and Carl Verreynne are having some words and facing up the big smile on his face at the very next ball. I don't mind feisty cricketers. Never minded that. From a batsman's point of view, you've got to make sure that you control those emotions. Batsmen mustn't get carried away. I'll tell you one batsman who a lot of the international cricketers around the world didn't speak to, who fed off it all the time, was Javed Miandad. Back in his day, he was someone that used to try and get a scrap going. Javed, nicely fielded by Mavuma. And it was a known fact that you didn't want to speak to him too much because he'd feed off your aggression and play better. And a few of those around the place in years gone by.
Yeah, I think that recently a guy like Faf du Plessis was someone that you didn't really want to engage because he would absolutely thrive in the battle. Faf was one of those guys who would, specifically against a team like Australia, he would love to get under their skin. Aussies are renowned for when you block the ball and you drop it down, they would tell you don't touch the ball, leave the ball alone, and Faf would pick it up and throw it straight back to the bowler. I can't remember who the bowler was, but hit him straight in the chest, and Faf invited that. He loved it, and there's a reason why he was captain. He led the way in the battle. So you get those guys that you just want to back down from and just do your job.
Nice controlled punch from Rizwan. This is really good work from these two.
Yeah, and the rotation of the strike, the keeping the singles going, 64 of 78 deliveries, and in Test cricket terms, that's pretty quick. There's also certain individuals who you like batting with, and I get the feeling that these two thoroughly enjoy each other's company in the middle.
Invited him, he thought about it.
And a partnership like this would start to worry South Africans, because it's one thing if you a lot of verbals and you think you're on top of someone and they're not getting away from you with their run rate, but they are scoring freely at the moment, are these two, so they're in a battle now.
This is the fourth over after the break from Marco Jansen. 4 in his opening spell. Rabada had an extended spell early on, hoping to pick up an early wicket, and kept him on for a while, South Africa. Solid shot off that back foot. Sweeper into play. End of the over, 3 from it, 121 for 4.
26 के एलिमिनेटर्स में सितारे उठाएंगे तूफान। 27 के सेमीफाइनल्स में होगा आर्या पार। 29 के फाइनल में होगा घमासान। Pro Kabaddi League Eliminators 26 December, semi-finals 27 December, and finals 29 December.
This broadcast is brought to you in association with Dream 11 and Sri Ram Finance, in partnership with HP Lubricants, Roff, Mother Dairy Maa Jaisi, and Red Bull.
Ghulam and Rizwan, a partnership of 65. They've played freely after lunch and will have gone to the break thinking perhaps we gave away 1 too many wickets before the break. They've come out, played with good responsibility. Still very overcast conditions here in Centurion. Ghulam, he's on 44 from 46, 7 fours and 1 6. Here's Rabada. Squeezed away. And 4 more. The boundaries have been flowing.
That love.
And the score's moved up to 125 for 4.
Yeah, it's one of those wobble seams again. The ball just nipping back, getting the inside edge. It's been a productive start for Pakistan off post the lunch. The runs have flowed. Something behind the bowler's arm. Ghulam's had a few issues with somebody walking across, or maybe some disturbance behind the bowler's arm. It's never easy as a batsman. Everyone can complain, or what are you complaining about? Oh, here we go. Kyle Verreynne is either upset with the batsman or with somebody who's behind the bowler's arm. Oh, here we go.
Lazy stroll back after lunch.
I certainly think it's one of the best exhibitions of fast bowling we've seen from KG Rabada today, for minimal reward in terms of the wicket column. The amount of times that he's beaten the bat, it's been phenomenal.
On 48. He's been entertaining as Ghulam. Bowlers to settle after lunch.
Oh, he's hit that area so often today, hasn't he, Cass? And yes, Ghulam has been entertaining. He's got a few theatrics about him. The loud calling, the shots.
Kagiso Rabada. He has beaten the bat so many times today, and still that wicket column. None for 31. What more do I have to do to pick up some wickets here?
The frustration is understandable, because it is pretty much 3 test matches deep for Kagiso Rabada. This sort of thing has happened through the course of the 2 test matches against Sri Lanka, and now here. After the little tete-a-tete in the middle of the pitch, you just felt that the crowd here knew exactly what the next one ought to be, according to them, if they were to prescribe it. And so after the bumper, there's a big cheer as Ghulam gets under it.
Yeah, very entertaining. I think what we've found, though, is that there was a friendly banter between the batsman and bowler, but that friendliness now has gone away.
Yeah, this is magnificent bowling, and as you think through the first session and what happened and how Rabada bowled, the smile is a nervous one. The chit-chat from Kagiso Rabada is frustration and some sort of catharsis required, because he wants to try and remain in the bubble to ensure he keeps delivering this, but he desperately would like for it to yield results. And so the danger here is both can get taken out of their bubbles as they have this little confrontation.
Oh, just over. To get a hand to that. Hands on heads on field. The pressure was building. Ghulam goes to 50. 50 or 52. His second 50-plus score in Test match cricket. He's got 100 under his belt. And he'll enjoy this, the battle, the contest.
Yeah, very, very enjoyable to watch. He's got 50 or 52 balls. Wonderful strike rate of 96. And just before the delivery, the thought crossed our mind, Cass, why don't we get another catcher in with all that type of pressure on him?
You can sense this crowd, the energy. They're so engaged. They love their cricket here, and they're right on top of the action.
Really so unfortunate, and perhaps just the way it's gone through the summer. And I know it seems I keep harping on this. He's the leader of their attack, Rabada, and he generally creates chances. He creates another here, and by the standards of Marco Jansen, one, he'd be the only one to get there. It's so high, but he does get there and gets there with 2 hands. And then it bursts through those hands. It's not like a little parry. it bursts right through those hands. So if you go back in the sequence, that could have been the perfect finish to it all. With Rabada with the wicket and Ghulam, who's started really well and is nearing a half century. That's why that happens there for Janssen. Such a pity. Well played to him. Fire with fire, get in position to play shots, and he'll continue to do so.
Spot on, Tommy. It's the way he approaches his cricket, and he'll enjoy it out there, showing some muscle as he gets to 50.
You get a sense, and it's kind of pretty obvious. Sometimes you'll see batters smile, you'll see them have a chit-chat. They're uncomfortable. They're challenged like no other time before. It's not as if everything's going okay. And yes, he's got to 50, but every smile is a nervous one. Every delivery as the bowler turns up to bowl a delivery, unsure as what might happen off the surface, and having to commit to this positive plan that I've got to look to try and play a shot here and try and get him away. As I say, fire with fire, so that should there be an edge somewhere, it'll fly, and if not, and he's played some beautiful shots through the offside.
These matches at Supersport Park move along so quickly, and you almost get a sense that you've got to go for your shots. You've got to be able to trust your game. That run rate now has moved up to 3.84.
Yeah, I think the ability to play your shots on tough wickets suits some players more than others, particularly the players who may not have the most solid or forward defense, or even the way that they're wired.
Oh, the crowd, they're baying for something. The over 34 overs gone, 130 for 4.
Angles always down that leg side with the left armour. He gets a lot of bounce as well. Marco Janssen. A sterner face have you seen as he tries to watch the ball. And it decks off the surface, and then he just wants something. Want him out, don't know how, just give it. In my head, as I think of Rabada's grouping of deliveries bowled, and I think of everybody else in the attack, even though South Africa have got the 4 wickets, the consistency hasn't been there from all the others. And so you look at this, and 130 for 4 at this stage is not where you want to be as the South African bowling attack.
The 2 bowlers who have stood out has been KG Rabada and Dane Patterson, and they are the bowlers that you're talking about, probably, who have hit a good area outside of stump, along the 4th stump line, getting the batsman forward. Having a look at those figures, Rabada and Patterson, although Patterson's been a touch expensive, and that's more because the Pakistani batsmen have tried to take him on, but he's also picked up 2 wickets. In terms of Janssen and Bosch, they have been quite erratic with their lengths. And when you're erratic with your length, then you're going to have an inconsistent day. You're going to go for runs and you're going to pick up wickets. There, I say, I wonder if KG Rabada is thinking, let me bowl a few half volleys, bowl a few half trackers, just to get onto the wickets column.
Yeah, this is a look in the second session. And to follow up what was absolutely magnificent from him in the first. First thing you see there's the line really good and on 4th stump. And then the length doesn't really leave there. Started off back of a length and then just keeps creeping forward, asking them to play forward. And it's threatened that outside edge just about every time. And as full as you can go, you see that's full there, those 3 deliveries. And saying, come forward at me. But too many just gone past the bat.
Such an important partnership this is at 88 for 4. South Africa will have felt really pumped up going into lunch. It just shows you some steady work out there between Rizwan and Ghulam, who's played some attractive cricket. And this partnership suddenly is looking imposing. Salman Aliaga to come in, also a good partnership builder.
Just having a look at the field here, just quickly, you've got Tony Dezorzi at backward point, who's all the way on the fence. I'm not quite sure it's necessary at this time of the game. With your premier bowler being on song as KG Rabada is. That's the end of the over. 131 for 4. So you have Tony Dezorzi there on the boundary, but you're almost giving the batsman an opportunity of getting off strike and getting off the examination.
Probably a result of what I was talking about earlier, Hash, that you're leaking too many runs on the surface, that it should be more difficult to score.
Yeah, South Africa's thinking now is, how do we get pressure built from both ends? Rabada going really well. Does Bavuma potentially turn to? Maybe someone like Patterson, who brings that steadiness from the other end. You go to Bosch, the debutant.
Yeah, I don't think he has many options. They've gone with a 4 pace attack and maybe Markram to bowl a few off spinners, and I don't think he's going to go to the off spin option. So yes, the next change will be Patterson, then Bosch, and hopefully that combination works out. But I think what's more important is for the bowlers who are bowling, like Jansen at the moment, is to just maintain his area. That's the key. Bowling, we always talk about batting partnerships, that you complement each other. You will, at some stage in your partnership, be holding the game tight while somebody else picks up the wickets. But at both occasions, you have to be on top of your game.
Yeah, see, that's too easy a delivery on this pitch. And if erring, as Marco Jansen, he'd prefer, no doubt in my mind, that he'd err fuller with the ball still new, with the ball still able to sort of swing and seem. There's been a great deal of swing, but there's certainly been some swing. When it's short, it's too easy for the batter. Yeah, so from there and no shorter, just should you miss, better off you get driven through cover and it goes off for 4. And if the runs have been leaked that way, you kind of can accept it, because, and I'm talking as bowler, you kind of can accept it because you understand that that's what gives you the best chance of creating an opportunity for slips, for whoever. He might even hit one to cover.
It's a good bouncer. Probably I have another thought in my mind, that when some bowlers are not as consistent and they're not on the money, as we say, hitting a good area, particularly somebody like Marco Jansen, who's tall, who bowls at 140, would it be easier for him to say, you know what, I'm not quite feeling a good area, I'm going to go short? And particularly with the way that the Pakistani batsmen have played, Mohammad Rizwan and Ghulam, they most likely will take it on and provide some wicket opportunity.
And 33 for 4. Slight confusion, but that is the end of the 36th over.
Test 50 for Ghulam. Hit some wonderful shots, streaky ones as well. It was provided with some bad balls and type of tension and attacking nature that he's put the bowlers under pressure, and he did some beautiful shots to the offside. None better than that. Back foot drive to the covers, showing his muscle. 52 of 60 balls at the moment, and certainly for Pakistan's sake want to take it to 152. Yeah, it's been entertaining for many reasons. Some of the lovely stroke play, but it's also been had a lot of smiles on his face and a few plays and misses and funny shots. I remember the one that he almost bunted to cover for one when he tried to pull KG Rabada and got into a weird position, but still managed to get away with it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the probing. The tendency would be from bowler to go straighter, to lose patience and decide that you have to be right on the stumps, and you're then looking for what a miracle deliveries with it kind of swinging and seaming from middle and off rather than from around there, right? The third and fourth stump.
Well, you find so often bowlers come to Supersport Park, they look at the track, it looks good, and they always go searching for that glory ball. And you almost find the likes of Vernon Philander, the ones that really were able to find their areas and almost bore the batters into mistakes. But the thing about these matches, they move on so quickly, so take your chances. I tell you, after that first hour of probing, South Africa would have looked up and thought, no wickets on the board, and they hit back 4 for 20. But this hit back from Pakistan has been something they would have looked to do, Hash, after the way they batted so well in the ODI series.
Most definitely. I think they want to get stuck in. The batters want to get to the big hundreds to take them to at least close to 280, 300 mark in the first innings here. It's well played. And I wouldn't be surprised, you see, as a batsman, when you leave well outside off stump, as Ghulam has done the previous 2 deliveries or 3 deliveries from KG Rabada, as a bowler you do go searching, you're only human. But if you're playing and missing all the time and you're flirting outside off stump, then the bowler is content just to sit in an area. But if he gets greedy, he'll look to come towards your pad, attack the stumps, and that gives you scoring options.
Also get such good value for your shots here at Supersport Park. One from the over. It's 1-3-4 for 4.
Icon from Arun Ice Creams.
No teams that you can take lightly. This partnership has really got Pakistan back on track after being put into bat in overcast conditions. 88 for 4 at lunch, and this partnership of 78 from 111 deliveries has got Pakistan to 134 for 4. Right, we will have a change in bowling now. Dane Patterson from the Henops River end, 2 for 35.
Yeah, Dane Patterson, apologies, has bowled better than his figures has suggested. He has picked up 2 wickets and gone for 35. We've seen Batsmen using their feet against him. And they've used their feet because of that.
Yeah, he'll probe, and I wondered if Marco Jansen would get another over, and you were asking before as we watch. This is a good start, this. Hope he's behind the line, and his issue at the start of his spell before. No, he's not. Look at that. He's not behind the line. Started with a no ball again. And so right at the beginning of his spell, first spell, this was a problem. A couple of no balls, and then started focusing on the line, and then was probably a bit too wide.
Oh. Charging Patterson is Gulam.
Yeah, and you were talking earlier, Hashim, about whether Jansen should go short because of perhaps an inability to group sufficient deliveries to create the pressure. With that in his armory, the short ball, his height, the bounce, and the way that someone like Gulam's trying to play, I don't know that he'd have tried to get under it. And essentially what you're after early doors is that you're making batters play. And so if they're going to go at your short ball, then you've got your field out and away you go. Good luck. And it also then brings the feet away from whatever's full. So it could be trying to look for the short ball, and then that Yorker comes into play, or normal length one where the feet don't quite go. So yeah, I'm with you in terms of that sort of thinking.
"49 runs since lunch, and it's looked easier for Pakistan than it did before the break. It just shows you when batters are prepared to take on the bowlers and really be positive, back positive in tough conditions, Hash, you get some good results.
Yeah, it's the intent that you bring to the crease, the energy. But also we talked about at the start of the game that it's the first 30 or 40 overs of batting that is the toughest. And we're sitting at 37.3 overs now, and the batting is, the wicket, the surface is a touch more fairer or more even pace for the batsman to score runs. Oh, absolute beaut from Patterson. This is what he's made his name on. Not sure how long before we see Kyle Varane coming up to the stumps. He did that in previous test matches. Keeps the batsman in their crease and brings the LBW dismissal more into play. But I think the Pakistan team have certainly missed the trick by handing the wickets over to the South African team. Had you had Babar Azam, Shan Masood still batting now, it certainly would have been a different outlook for the Pakistan team.
Was in the air for a bit. Ball following Marco Jansen.
He just seems to jump there. Yeah, that's bounced higher than he expects, and in the end it's off handle, shoulder area of the bat. It's quite fortunate it just doesn't loop to Marco Jansen or one of those three in the cordon.
Yeah, Tristan Stubbs was also right there waiting. Where has this gone? Rabada steadies himself and takes the catch. The bowling changes works. Patterson gets his third wicket, and South Africa break a troubling partnership.
Unbelievable shot. Quite frankly speaking, it came down the wicket to add the pressure onto Patterson. He just got cramped up for space. And the top edge, it went miles in the air, and a fantastic catch from KG Rabada. Settled himself, and he's got good hands. Look at the elation for Dane Patterson. He's done a good job for the South African team. That's the end of Gulam. He goes for 54. Pakistan 137 for 5.
Watch IDFC First Bank India Women vs Ireland Women ODI Series. Starts 10th January, live on Geo Cinema and Sports 18.
Melbourne's matter waits as the legends and superstars of Pro Kabaddi League are raring to show their prowess. And so are the Aussie Raiders. India's very own sport is ready to take over the world. Watch PKL Melbourne Raid 28th December 2:30 p.m. onwards, only on Disney Plus Hotstar and Star Sports Network.
This broadcast is brought to you in association with Dream 11 and Sri Ram Finance. In partnership with HP Lubricants, ROF, Mother Dairy Ma Jaisi, and Red Bull.
India and South Africa in the 90s there, always a super hit affair. Every single fast bowler in my colony wanted some of this. All-rounders were the flavor of the decade. And if you manage to pull off a stunning catch, catch pakada re Jonty, all of India showered their love on these guys.
True story.
But as true fans, we want to watch cricket's future heroes before everyone else. So I'm off to South Africa to see tomorrow's T20 stars in the making. A fiery new season of the SA20 begins Jan 9. Oh, and I'm not done playing, macha.
Right, 5 down now for Pakistan, 137 for 5. Ghulam, the last one to go. Salman Ali Agha at the crease now. 31 years of age, playing his 18th Test match. We saw him play very well in that game in Pal when he picked up some wickets and also got some valuable runs. And he's got an average of 46 in Test match cricket. He's a very fine player. Bosch to Rizwan. Ghulam, I would imagine right now is probably just taking the pads off in that change room, and he probably won't want to look at a replay of his dismissal.
Well, there was a ploy and a strategy, Hazy, and I don't exactly disagree with how he was playing the medium pace. It may come across as not such a great shot.
That was the catch.
Once again, solid drive.
So the ways of handling medium pace on a surface like this, and I remember we had a collective strategy in New Zealand against the medium paces long time back. This is a ball before he got out, actually.
Which has popped a little bit. Popped a little bit, surprised him, hit him on the splice and almost out. And then next ball.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing like that, so I don't have a problem with that. So against medium pace on a surface like this, you've got to put them off the length. It's a very good catch in the end.
Well, I would say, Ram, I hear what you're saying, but I would say Patterson just back in the game. It was his first over back. I thought that Ghulam had done a pretty good job, and he was starting to get under the skin of one or two of the South African players, and he just got to his 50. I just think he'll be sitting that change him now and thinking, gee, I had these guys. I could have played a lot better than this rather than play a swipe like that.
Yeah, and the noise when this wicket fell in the stadium was deafening. You can see what it means to the players, because 100% Hazy spot on, did get under the skin of the South Africans. You can see that there were a few words exchanged once he got out.
So I understand your point. I get you completely, Hazy, because it probably needed a little bit of pause, because you were bossing South Africa. You created an opportunity for yourself and for your team. But I think he just wanted to carry on with what he wanted out of this contest against a medium pacer. Yeah, it didn't work. But if he had blocked and gotten out like 2 or 3 of his mates, I don't know. I mean, there must have been some instructions from the dugout as well. Look, go out there and express yourself, otherwise you can get out.
We can also, even as this one runs off to the boundary, you can also go back to Arcadia before the game when Poppy interviewed him. He said on a track like this, you just got to take that bowling on and look to play some shots. And because sooner or later you're likely to get out, you got to play shots and make sure you get runs all the time. And I wasn't totally convinced that was the way to go either in a test match. So yeah, I just thought he had South Africa. I thought he had them worried, and I just thought he could have really capitalised and gone a bit deeper than what he did. But I also hear what you're saying, Rambo.
Yeah, so we had a strategy against the New Zealand medium pacers. Then they had plenty of them on dodgy surfaces, and it worked.
39 overs bowled now, 142 for 5.
This is going to be a cracker of a contest.
Show that your love for cricket is true. Come cheer for the women in blue.
The patience, the grit, the determination.
Watch IDFC First Bank India Women's versus West Indies Women's ODI series live on Jio Cinema and Sports 18. This broadcast is co-presented by Arcadia, India's #1 tile company, in association with Cred. It pays to be good.
5 and 14. Baba played a loose shot. Gulam just dismissed, being there for a while. Patterson getting a little bit of bounce out of the surface suddenly. Rizwan 57 off 57 balls for 27 runs at the moment. They've got a long way to go, Pakistan, here. They've got to make sure that suddenly things don't go south for them from this position. It was a good recovery after losing those wickets in that hour before the lunch break.
Well, he's batting from 18 yards. Rizwan is out of the crease. That's another way of dealing with medium pace. Look at where his stance is right now. Yeah, he wants to meet the ball early, maybe put him off his length, and he will do that. He's a restless soul that way. Rizwan is very busy at the crease, and if it works for him, then carry on.
I guess there's an argument to say that can happen when someone's bowling 123 k's per hour. That's moved enough to go past that outside edge.
Yeah, and we always just say when a batter's batting out of his crease and the ball is nipping around, specifically to a medium pacer, you almost want to take that LBW dismissal out of play. That's an absolute rip snorter from Dan Patterson. But what it does when you're outside of your crease, the umpire almost can't predict if it's going to hit the stumps because of the height or the movement and how far it has to travel. So tactically very good from Rizwan, and just negating, as you can see, he's quite a way out of that crease.
I'd be bringing that backward point on the fence and the offside in. I'd be putting in a second gully, or maybe a man in front of square on the offside, but basically the guy backward square on the offside on the fence shouldn't come to play at all.
Well, you got to say he's been proactive, at least. Yeah, he plays like that with hard hands, away from the front pad.
It's a broad bat that time from Rizwan.
I'm looking. Yeah. Let's straight that well.
I don't think this pitch is going to rough up at all. It has a lot of green. Just been cautioned by the leg umpire, Rizwan, not walk on the danger area.
It's a little bit tough, isn't it, where he's batting? There's a nick. He's gone. Patterson's got himself another one. That's his third. This continues fine form from the second test. Correction is fourth.
Dane Patterson has definitely found the zone. It's definitely the type of wicket that he loves to bowl on. Rizwan batting out of his crease, dragging his length back ever so slightly, but asking the right questions. And it's that corridor again that he has found all day, and finding the edge of Rizwan, and a good catch from Aiden Markram at second slip. A big wicket for South Africa, the dangerous Rizwan. He's been looking dangerous, he's been looking comfortable. He's got to go. Rizwan goes for 27, Pakistan now 142 for 6.
जल्दी करो प्लीज, मूवी शुरू होने वाली है. लेट्स गो.
ये क्यूआर कोड ठीक से चलेगा?
सब टिक है. आप बताओगे कि मैं बताऊं?
सब टिक चलेगा सर. टिक मतलब
गूगल पे है.
सब टिक है.
Watch IDFC First Bank India Women vs Ireland Women ODI Series. Starts 10th January, live on Geo Cinema and Sports 18.
Ahmed Jamal now in the middle. 142 for 6. Problem that Pakistan do have is that 4 out of the 6, in my book, are soft dismissals. I'm not counting that last one as a soft dismissal. And Ayub wasn't a soft dismissal. The rest of them, I think, were. Bosch now. Good pace that time for Bosch.
And he plays well with the tail. Agha Salman has got this steely temperament, and his game sense improves dramatically as well. Rizwan there going with hard hands out of the crease. There you see that bat away from that front pad, and very good catch in the slips. Massive breakthrough, because Rizwan can absolutely dent any opposition. After getting a start, he's gone.
Yeah, it's another good catch from Markram too. He's got. Other one was that of Babar Azam. Solid drive off the mark. It's a good time with the ball. It's got off the mark of the boundary.
Yeah, he can be unyielding, Ahmed Jamal, with the bat. That is such a good start in the slot. And Pakistan have decided that they're not going to miss out on such deliveries. Yeah, nice one. Didn't try to hit it too hard as well. It's just about timing the ball into the gap.
Yeah, when you have got a bowler that's bowling at 145 k's plus, that one 146, you don't have to overhit the ball. Just lean on it when you've got that pace. Just somehow I've always noticed when the quicker it comes, sometimes the quicker it goes. And so again, a danger period for South Africa, because if these two can get in, we see what Salman can do with the bat in the ODI series. And now's not the time to take the foot off the pedal. When you've got a team down, you've got to pounce on those opportunities. Test cricket is difficult. When you've got a top of a team, you have to capitalize.
And Jamal, someone who's got some good character about him too.
Pakistan's mark has to be 250. If they can get to 250, they'll have good runs on the board. But for that to happen, Agha, Salman and the others really will have to fight hard.
I would even dare say 230 is a very good score on this wicket for day one. If you can get up to that 230 mark, I'll be very happy as a batting unit.
Problem is that most of these subcontinent batsmen see that off-stump line, and there's this ability or lack of ability really to let the ball go. They will not do that on a consistent, regular basis. They would want to have some chunk of it. That's inbuilt. That's like part of your batting DNA.
Sun is trying to just peek through now. We'd like to see a bit more of that over the next couple of days as well. Allowing that one to go safely through. Good pace in that over. All deliveries 145 plus. 47 for 6.
It's a glorious view, that is. Day one of a test match. You've got the prize, or as Hazy would call it, the barbecue, being fired up here. And Centurion,
the Barbie,
is known for the braais here. You get the smoke that grows across the ground when all the fires are lit up. What an atmosphere we have on day one.
Something tells me that youngster's not that keen on the sunscreen. Two guys who have just arrived at the crease. In the middle now for Pakistan, exactly what South Africa would have talked about.
Yeah, just back to your point, Rambo, on the previous over when you mentioned how the batters want a chunk of it. It's quite difficult as a low order batter when you're known to score runs. Your role is to get runs, quick runs towards the end of an inning, specifically in one-day cricket. Bring that across to test cricket. You always want to feel bat on ball, to adjust your mind, to look to leave. And with a guy like Patterson who's hitting off stump quite consistently, usually does force that mistake from you.
Just walking down, but also going outside the line of off stump.
And that's what I mean about getting outside the crease and negating the LBW decision. It's pretty straight. Yes, there's a little bit of extra bounce, and South African team would have been quite interested in that for an LBW, but going well over. But that's what it does when you get out your crease. It's an easy decision for an umpire when it does smash you in the pads.
For a batsman, it's important to keep the eye on the ball. When you're walking out of the crease, your head can be bobbing and you can lose the focus. Make sure that you look hard at the ball when you're using your feet. Oh, that's a nasty one. That really is absolutely good luck. Otherwise, it would have been goodbye and good night.
Oh, that's got to hit one of those indentations that we've been talking about. That's what happens at Supersport Park. It's happening a little bit earlier than what we normally see. That has really taken off.
Yeah, with the grass covering, it would make those indentations. I was watching the guys warm up on the side strips, and you could definitely see the marks being left from the new balls on the pitch. So there'll be a few South African batters just taking notice and mentally preparing for the job at hand.
Doesn't stop him getting on that front foot and getting right over the top of the next one.
Yes, it's a ball after that you are tested on, and so that really was well played in the end. His eyes lit up as well. Maybe he's looking at that length also from bowling point of view. Hit that length regularly.
I mean, he's obviously playing a lot of test cricket around the world. If you were standing in the slips now and you saw indentations and the ball must be having, how would you mentally prepare, knowing you're going into your first innings and the ball's behaving like this?
So I will not have this as an ego issue. If I get beaten and not get out, I think I'll consider myself lucky. Get that ball out of the system and make sure that you focus on the length which suits you. I think it's driving through the offside can be a little bit difficult, hazardous. So anything on the pads, middle and leg, has to go then.
Looking to drive that, but again, just doing enough off the seam. Fraction away, going past the outside edge. It's tough for the moment, 148 for 6.
Watch IDFC First Bank India Women versus Ireland Women ODI Series. Starts 10th January, live on G.
Seamers, 3 seamers to come, which means this partnership's very, very important for Pakistan. South Africa will feel their luck's got to change here, because this has been a really good period for South Africa, bowling very tightly and getting the ball to move considerably, either a bit of extra bounce every now and then, or movement off the seam, or a little bit of swing, as Chris just said with that last delivery from Patterson.
You've got to give yourself a bit of time out there at the crease, because it's a difficult pitch when you come on to bat early. So give yourself a little bit of a breather early on. Just have a look at how the ball behaves.
And perhaps try and do that if they can. Transfer that pressure in the middle, try and tick that scoreboard over so they're not jammed down one end.
Yeah, and I think just as much as the batters will be looking at this, going mentally prepare, I think you've got the Pakistan bowlers up in the change room. I know I've got analysis, they've got people that load all the deliveries, and they'll be looking tonight, seeing what lengths we must be having, what lengths do we need to be hitting to cause the South African batters some strife when they come out. So it does go both ways with the batters and the bowlers, but everybody will be keeping a keen eye on the lengths that South Africans are hitting at the moment.
It's nicely played. Scoots away smartly for a 4.
Used the pace and played the bounce so well, and he'll keep on doing that. Amir Jamal is quite an impactful, effective tail-ender or a late middle order. So use the pace, 146 clicks that last ball, and nicely guided with a slanted angle of the blade.
Now that has really taken off. That's gone over the top of the keeper, and that's gone for 4 byes.
I'll tell you what, that has absolutely taken off, and off a length too. It's a good leave, but that just carried on climbing. We saw in P a couple of weeks ago how Marco Jansen got the ball to lift off the wicket, but this is absolutely flown over Carl Verona, giving him no chance. Look at the length for me, not short by any means, and just flying.
Thankfully, it wasn't aimed straight at the batsman.
Trampoline in the middle there somewhere. That's cracked away, just for 1.
How many times we've seen that a tail ender gets a lot of confidence when the major player is having trust in his skills. That could be the case here as well. Amir Jamal quite happy to play a few shots, and he's played 2 or 3 very handy innings as well.
I've always liked his application. Whenever he's had a job to do for Pakistan, I've always liked the way that he's got stuck in. It's admirable the way he's done that. Salman Aliaga to face this last delivery in this over from Corbin Bosch. Short delivery, 158 for 6.
South African bowlers, KJ Rabada has been absolutely fantastic today. One of the better spells I've ever seen him bowl to go wicketless. A Bosch impact bowler coming in trying to bowl quick, which he is doing. With Patterson hitting those lengths. I see those run rates. KG obviously being very good at 2.5s. The other guys would like to be under 3s, but the way that Pakistan have come out to play, they're taking the fight to South Africa.
Rabada averages over 7 wickets per test at this venue. Now, to have none at this stage, the work that he's done is quite extraordinary. He's beaten the bat so often. It really has been remarkable the way he has bowled, and wicketless. Extra bounce again.
So, Chris, tell me whether it's a floater's pitch or whether it's a pitch where you hit the deck hard.
Yeah, look, I think when he's talking about the floater, it's getting the ball and hoping it'll swing. I think it's definitely the type of wicket where you have to hit the deck as hard as you can. And when I say hit the deck, you've got to try to bowl the ball into the wicket and almost create an energy after it bounces. But the length for me is important. So when you say float, you don't really want to float it, but you want to float it with energy, if that makes sense. And with that floating energy, you get the serious length where, as we've seen, a few have taken off, but you do get movement of the wicket. It's a type of pitch, playing for many years here, that you always felt that there was an opportunity for you as a bowler. You could always create something, but it's obviously about building the pressure. But the movement that has come is when you felt bowlers have hit the wicket. Marco Jansen, when he gets the ball to rise, it's when he's hitting the wicket as hard as he can, bowling it into the pitch. And I think those are the ones where Patterson has been so good. He's hit the top of the stump, found the right length, but he's got energy behind the ball, and that's where he's got the movement.
Rabada's best return, by the way, at this venue, 13 for 144 in 2016 against England, was outstanding. 3 wickets in this test will take him past Dale Steyn as the leading wicket taker at Supersport Park, and Steyn did it in 10 tests. This will be Rabada's 9th. Rabada's only once taken fewer than 5 wickets here. That was 421 against India in 2018. And only Alan Donald at 16.25 among bowlers with at least 20 wickets here, is a lower average than Rabada's at 16.78. A couple of fine bowlers, Donald and Rabada. Oh, another one, Steyn. Unlucky South Africa's been over the years with their quicks.
He's bowled a couple of great deliveries here, because both times Salman Ali Agha has been very keen to come out of the crease, so he shortened the length, bowled him a bouncer, and then the one that floated around that off-stump angle. Rabada is pretty special, irrespective of the stats. You know, there are certain bowlers that you love watching. They're impactful, they create a bit of drama, there's a sense behind picking up a wicket, and Rabada comes across as someone who's really intelligent.
Recently picked up his 300th test wicket, Rabada. We're running a 3-part special actually during this test match at lunchtimes. We've had part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow, and part 3 the next day. It really is terrific to get some of his insights. Steyn, 61 matches, 117 innings. Donald, 115 innings to 300. $160 for 6. So as I mentioned, part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow, then part 3 on day 3, of course, of this test match. Always great to hear from KG. But he hasn't got a wicket yet, which is quite astonishing considering he's bowled so brilliantly. Hachisa Rabada. Patterson got his first 5-wicket haul in Test match cricket in the last Test match against Sri Lanka in Kabaja, and he's staring down another one in the first innings here. 4 at the moment, 4 for 40. 5 for 71 it was in Kabaka. This will be the last over before tea on day one. This will be the last over before a commentary change, and then there'll be another 30 minutes before tea on day one.
You've been a bit like Rabada today. Brilliant in patches.
And wicketless. Steering that one away. Boundaries are being picked up.
He's a solid player, Salman Aliaga. His out cricket is quite good. Saw a little bit of width, pace. Bat meeting the ball with a slanted angle away. It went over the slip cordon for 4. I was just about to say it was a dangerous shot before tea interval, but tea interval is still about 30 minutes away.
It would have been, yes, it would have been. One.
Yeah, it almost feels that Temba Bavuma, Coleman Bosch, run in and hit the wicket as hard as you can. Try and make it uncomfortable. The previous delivery was a much better one in terms of line. Potentially Coleman Bosch coming into the team as the enforcer with the extra pace that he has. Often captains do that to bowlers. They say run in and bowl as quick as you can. Make it uncomfortable. Don't worry about the run rate. Bowl as quick as you can. We've got Patterson on the other side doing the holding job.
That's cracked away. This time it's straight to Tony DeZorzi. I just saw Temba Bavuma just giving KG the message to start getting ready. He said one more for someone. I'm not sure if it was Bosch one more, and then down at this end Patterson I think's plugged himself in and is going to try and strive for that 5th. Swing and a miss that time. Number 4 is to go before tea. 5 for 6.
सब टिक है.
सामने टोल है. तुम्हारा फास्टर ठीक चल रहा है ना? ठीक से बेटर. टिक चल रहा है मासी. टिक मतलब? गूगल पे है.
सब टिक है.
This broadcast is co-presented by Kajaria, India's #1 tile company, in association with Cred. It pays to be good.
Four for 40. Dame Patterson been able to just sit on his length, and much has happened from that length. As we've gone on, actually, it just looks as if it might have done that little bit more, particularly with the ones that seem to just be rising from a length, bouncing a bit more than the batters expect.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a lot of deliveries to stand up steeply, actually. We were just talking off air and saying Dane Patterson has looked like Patrick Patterson. And for any of you who don't know Patrick Patterson, he's probably about 6'3", a bit taller, and used to bowl some absolute bombs for the West Indies. Used to extract some serious bounce out of the surface. Yeah, I think definitely too much has probably gone on with regards to the surface here on day one, with regards to the steepness of the bounce. Something we've come accustomed to, though, isn't it, at Supersport Park? There was some pitches back in the day that could be really flat, really good for batting, but the nature of them has kind of changed over the years, and it's definitely offered a lot of assistance, particularly at the back end of games where the pitch marks, the divots that have been created, create that variable bounce.
Yeah, not too often has it been this early in a test match. Rate of scoring for Pakistan has just over 3.5. And that for South Africa is not ideal. Talking in relation to behavior of the pitch as well. Pakistan possess fast bowlers. And they too will present some trouble. Didn't get it at all. Just got bigger than he expected as he went to play the pull shot. So not undone or troubled by the pace, but unable to get above it in terms of the bounce. Just gets a bit big on him, and he's fortunate in the end he doesn't top edge it. Clearing up rather nicely the day. Started off overcast and rain forecast at some point in this test match. Not unusual. The embankments a feature. Grass embankments as they encircle the ground, and many will just continue in the festive season as they turn up here on Boxing Day. And they've been treated to runs and wickets, 6 of them. They'd prefer that it would be South Africa in the ascendancy.
Yeah, this ground it's got a bit more of a boutique-y kind of feel to a cricket ground, hasn't it, Pommy? The thing that I'm interested to chat about is how around the world all the grounds have kind of changed a little bit. Everything's been about getting a bigger stadium, more seating, and being able to accommodate more spectators for different formats. And a lot of grounds have kind of lost their little bit of appeal and their authenticity and character. So it's good to see. You often see them in New Zealand, for example, as they've still got the kind of boutique-y kind of feel to them. A lot of the other grounds around the world have just become concrete jungles, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, I think the Hamilton, they just had the previous test, and then prior to that, I think they played at Basin Reserve, which still holds its charm in the way that it is set out. I like that personally. I like the difference, you know, how different the grounds are. Beautiful delivery. That's where he ought to be. He's generally banged the ball back of a length. And that's made things that bit easier for the Pakistani batters. And that's sort of wide of the crease, and it's full, it's asking him to come forward, and then it just shapes, threatening that outside edge. Now can he repeat that? Look at the results there for South Africa here at Centurion. 29 test matches, 23 wins. They're starting out in test matches. Owen Bosch, 2 wickets. He's going at nearly 5. What he wants to be able to do is just to hold the line and the length. No doubt it'd be a nervous day for him. It would have helped that you turn up and you bowl your first one, you get a wicket, sort of calm you down. He's got a couple.
Yeah, if you get away with your first delivery, I wonder if anyone went up and said to him, listen, it's only going to go downhill from now. This is his first delivery in the test arena. Bam. Thanks for coming. I'm on the test wicket taking board. And that was an important wicket. Yes. The second one. Okay. So Shaquille was starting to cut loose a little bit.
Just a different ploy at that time, and it seemed there were a couple of batters who came in and decided to take it on. Yeah, nicely bowled. That is the length. 169 for 6. Yeah, beautiful. The ball still got its shine. Green pitch, lovely outfield as well, so it's not getting scuffed much. Yeah, many a conversation from the lunch and dinner table continuing on here. Festive season, festive mood. Others will continue to quench their thirsts, no doubt.
Some will be chuffed with the presents they got yesterday. Others will still be spewing that they didn't get exactly what they were after. Some will be thinking they had too much to eat. Others will be eating the leftovers.
I was going to say, am I hearing a complaint there?
Yeah, just going down the Corbin Bosch, it's interesting. I mean, I know he's been around, and I haven't personally seen much of him in the first class arena, but he's obviously played domestically. And have a look at that first class record. I mean, averaging just under 37, just 74 wickets in 35 matches, and you see the raw ingredients. He rocks up on the international stage. He's delivering between 140 and 145 kilometers per hour. He's about 6'2", 6'3", whatever it may be, so he's getting some decent bounce. You do wonder why, first of all, the figures read like that. You'd think he'd be like averaging 25 or something along those lines, and also why it's taken to him to get to the age of 30 before really getting an opportunity to play. And you would think you've got to analyze and also say, from a coaching perspective, who's been dealing with him? Because, as I say, you often look around, and his raw ingredients that you're looking for is, first of all, can they bowl quick? Not everyone can. Not everyone's got those fast twitch fibers. And you do wonder what the road he's travelled. I know he played in a Titan side where for many years they had the likes of your Morkel, Staines and Morrises and a couple of the other guys around. So he didn't maybe play as much, but our fastest delivery of 147, that's not to be sneezed at. Average speed of basically 143. I do just get the feeling that he falls away just a touch, and that's maybe why he's not as consistent as, for example, Patterson is. Oh, it's gone straight through Stubbs. I don't know if he hasn't picked it up, but he's looking like he hasn't. And that looked like a cut shot. Lamar was just trying to carve it away behind square on the offside. There's no one back like there is when Bosch is bowling. Doesn't get the contact he's after. In fact, it's a thick edge, and it's straight through the hands of Tristan Stubbs.
It doesn't look like he sees that, reacts, and then it gets to him sooner than he expects it to. Could have been, should have been. Shouts of catch it that time. Nobody will. It's through the covers and away for 4.
Yeah, insult to injury. And Patterson could have had his 5-wicket haul, second one in consecutive test matches. Tristan Stubbs is standing close, so maybe that's what did for him. But this was nicely played. Over pitched, and that one he's more in control, even though he does open the bat face slightly. There's no issues with that whatsoever. Airborne for a while, but the placement was perfect.
Oh, he does have the other one. Swung back in that time. Picked just in time. 179 for 6. Your right-hand side, and you might say the game is played at a rate of knots these days, but I think South Africa or field have conceded too many. Oh, not another.
Yeah, Tristan Stubbs is having one of those days, and the funny thing about slip fielding is it's a confidence game, and when one goes down, you start to almost not want that ball to come to you. Last over, one goes through 2 hands. This time he launches himself, and it goes to his right hand, puts that one down as well. He had one early on in the day where he didn't even get a glove on it. Probably could have gone 2 hands on that occasion as well. Yeah, the left hand shouldn't go out like that. It should be trying to stick together as much as possible, because it's bent, that front arm. It's not even like it's fully extended. So technically wise, he should have had 2. But he doesn't want the next one to come to him at this stage. And you hope that the director and the producer don't show it over and over again, because it gets displayed on the big TV screen at the ground, and you know that everyone's watching.
Yeah, you got no chance with that. Best chance is probably look away from the big screen, and as he watches that, he'll critique his own technique.